Speak the Language podcast, episode number, I'm really not sure. January day, I'm really not certain.
It's the 19th.
January the 19th.
Tuesday.
2021. Kudzu Bluff. We're at the end of the tunnel, or getting there.
You can see the light.
You can see the light. So we're sitting in the Kudzu camp. We didn't hunt this morning. To be straight up honest, we didn't hunt this morning because it rained, but I don't think anyone was too upset.
Yeah, when I walked up here to get a cup of coffee, I asked y'all, did it rain last night or I dreamed that? And he's like, no, it's raining right now. And I started listening, and the tin roof was puddling up there, pecking.
Yeah.
And nobody even discussed it. We're like, yeah, we can't even kill a deer in good weather, so.
Yeah. It's been a challenge. Our buddy Tommy Nails from Whiskey Ridge is hanging out with us. He's sitting silently on the couch watching this podcast go down. You know, there's not too many people that get to watch these podcasts live, Tommy. You got
Yep. So Tommy came down expecting I would have been the same way too. Like, if you told me, like, come hang out or whatever, this camp these boys have got, and I'm like, yeah man, that'd be great. And little do you know, it's like we can't kill a deer.
It's been a struggle. Plus, you came in, which Tommy's an outfitter, and I realize I'm talking like to him, and he doesn't. But I'm assuming the outfitter gig, he can probably relate to us on a more similar level when we say at this point in the season.
That's like my dad. Like, Tommy understands it. Like, he understands the whole hunting process, all of it. Like, my dad, you tell him to come up here, like, you want to come up here and hang out, maybe, go doe hunting or something.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, man, y'all got big bucks around every tree, man. Y'all got them everywhere, man. Y'all got them everywhere. This y'all's camp. Yeah, I know y'all got big bucks everywhere.
Yeah.
No.
We've talked about your dad on this podcast before, but I don't think so. Yeah, it's Jordan's dad is quite the character, and yeah, he's like, man, y'all got them big bucks, man. Y'all ain't even got to try very hard, man.
I know y'all got them. Primos camp, y'all got big bucks everywhere. Yeah. No, not hardly.
No, man.
This has been a challenging year, that's for sure.
I'm trying to, because what's the best way to articulate what I'm trying to say? Like, being it's January the 19th, we have this week and next week, and then that's it, right?
Yeah, we'll be finished, I think next Sunday's the last day.
The only thing that could change that is if we do what we did last year and Brad wants to go hunt with Sean. That carries into February some, but I think we'll probably hang it up.
Yeah, everybody's at the end of their patience as far as going deer hunting and not ever seeing much. It can be aggravating, being real about it. It's just very depressing when you go every day, and you really don't have a choice whether you got to go or not.
No.
I sometimes envy the regular guy that can choose and pick when he can go, just being real about it.
No, yeah, I understand that.
People listening to us talk about that, like, shut up, y'all are spoiled, whatever. And, I mean, you do anything every day, you get tired of it eventually.
Yeah. And that's what someone asked that. They're like, how do you keep from getting burnt out? I'm like, I am.
Yeah, we're burnt out. We just go to cracking on each other more so than normal.
Yeah.
But
it's, it's kind of one of those things, just like what you just said. If you do anything day in and day out for like 4 months straight, you're going to get to a point where, like, all right, I kind of want to do something else for a little bit.
And, like, it's not deer hunting I'm tired of. I'm just tired of going.
Yeah.
You get tired, physically tired. We talk about this every year.
Yeah.
You're just wore out.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's not like any other job because it's seasonal, but you do get tired.
Come, like, February will hit, deer season will be over. We'll have about a week and a half, 2 weeks of not having really anything, not having any hunts to go on, and we'll be like, all right, ready to hunt again. But I'm already fired up just to go turkey hunting, but so it's too early to go into that. Hang on. While you're talking about that, so I put up a thing last night, and I said, I said, when is it I said, when will y'all find it acceptable for us to start talking turkey on the podcast? 90% voted right now is fine. 10% voted, chill out, man, too early. So 90 said is our, which I'm gonna hold out on that a little bit. I mean, it's not time yet.
Well,
it's not time.
2 weeks from now we can start because we're finna start scouting and figuring this place out for turkeys.
Yeah,
just going back to it. Just whole circle.
And I know, like, some folks are, because if that many people voted yes on it, they're gonna hear me say that. They're like, what the heck? But it's coming. It's coming. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying I couldn't talk about turkeys right now. I could talk about turkeys in July, but just not yet.
Well, I wish we had some ducks to talk about, but we don't.
Yeah, the ducks have been. That's one thing. You know, we transitioned. We left Cottonmouth, and now we're here at Kudzu Bluff, and that's one thing that I've definitely been missing. Is at Cottonmouth, obviously being on the river. We had duck hunting opportunities pretty much all throughout the season while it was open, to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
Not always like burn your barrel opportunities, but we could go shoot some.
If you wanted to go duck hunting one morning, you could go.
Yeah. Whereas like here,
we don't have that opportunity at all.
you may could go creek shoot some wood ducks.
Yeah.
And which I'm not against doing, but it's not really working out the best when you're trying to film stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do miss the duck hunting for sure. I'm sure Knox and Delta miss it. We did go on. We went duck hunting at the zoo a few times.
Yeah, it was fun little getaway. So
It's
not like it's in the Mississippi Delta, but it holds a few ducks.
No, and we went one morning on that snow. And that was kind of fun.
And we had opportunity that morning. We could have killed, I don't know, 10 or 12 if we'd have hit 90% what we shot at.
We ended up killing like
6.
Was that it? I thought it was like 7.
6 or 7.
Yeah, which it ain't bad. I'm trying to think. I'm sure this one might be just as bad or worse. I had some folks last week's podcast. They were like, "Man, are y'all all right? We sound like we can just hear the tiredness in your voice." That's what
depression.
That's what they said. I was like, "Well, I mean, you know." When we started doing this podcast, we said it was going to be honest. That's what it was for. And so, I mean, if I tried to get on here and be like, hey, high energy, you know, it just I ain't got it right now. Not the energy anyway. Everyone's tired, man.
Yep.
They're just tired. Trying to think what the rest of this. I mean, we're gonna keep deer hunting. I mean, we got to. Don't really have a choice.
Yeah, hoping to get lucky. I got to go a little bit this weekend, just fawn hunting. That was fun.
Oh yeah.
Went with my dad and had a good time. And
y'all saw some deer, didn't you?
Man, I saw an unbelievable weekend just for numbers. I think I saw 36 Friday afternoon.
Really?
And like 12 different bucks. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty wild.
Probably saw 60 deer total over the weekend. It was awesome.
So, transition that back up to here.
We hadn't seen 60 deer here.
No. I'm asking. I wasn't making a joke. I'm asking like a legit question. I'm just thinking, like, what do you think? Like, why are we not seeing the kind of deer, or at least the number of deer that we think we should be seeing?
Man, the more we've hunted this place and got a feel for it, and you know the neighbors, and we have to you have to figure all that out as you go, and I think with our particular property, we don't have the cover we need to hold deer this time of year. We've got the food, but they're using them at night because the cover's so far away. And I think that's our biggest deal right now is any late season hunts, no matter whether you're in Mississippi, Iowa, wherever. The closer you have food and bedding together, the more daylight activity you see.
That's where you're going to find success.
Yeah, I mean, that's just anything, even early season. If you can find that mix of, good food and good cover close to each other and low pressure, you're going to see, have successful hunts that way. And I think that's what we're struggling with now is, here on Kudzu West where our main camp house is it's mostly big hardwood timber, and we don't have anything for the deer to stay in this time of year.
Really?
Early season, there's cover everywhere because all the bushes and stuff have foliage
Yeah.
on them, and they can hide. Well, right now you can see 300-400 yards through these woods, so there's nothing there
Just
that
not much bedding.
a deer can feel safe in. And on Kudzu East, it's complete opposite. We've got the cover there, but we don't have the acreage of food to support the numbers of deer.
Yeah.
And the food plots are, I mean, it's a little bit there, but it's not much at all. I mean, and, you know, it's just those two mixes have to come together and coincide this time of year. You've got to have food, you got to have cover, and pressure low.
Yeah.
To really have the mature bucks you can see in the daylight.
Yeah. I just wonder, like, how, trying to think, because, you know, when we were at Cottonmouth, we really had the opportunity. It's a rare one for anybody, but, I mean, the rare opportunity to put, like, a really strong regulator on how much pressure we put on those deer.
Yeah.
And we don't really have that same opportunity here.
No, because it's a lot smaller tracts of land we're hunting.
So it's like it's all been just a steep learning process.
Yeah. This I've already been making a mental list in my mind what things we can do different this next summer to make it better, you know, and that's the key to having any property, that it's not going to do it overnight.
No.
Like I get all the time people asking me, what can I do to I'm not seeing deer in my food plots. They're ate to the ground, but I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah.
There's deer there, obviously. They wouldn't be eating the food plot.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that all goes to pressure and cover.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start putting pressure on deer, they're going to the thickest, nastiest place they can find.
I had how many times, you probably had this question a lot too. You'll get a truck-in picture of a nighttime deer, and it'll say, I've got this buck, but he's nocturnal. How do I make him not nocturnal?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It's tough.
But a guy sent me that not long ago, and I said, well, like, you know, like, what's your situation? You know, kind of give me some more info other than just a picture of the deer at night. And he's like, well, I've got this food plot, and then the other one, a couple hundred yards away. I've got pictures of them in both, but it's always at nighttime. I was like, that's okay. You got, you know, are you hunting those two food plots? Are you hunting a tree stands? You've got shooting houses on both. And I said, are you hunting anywhere else when you go, you know, when you're hunting this place? And he said, nah, I pretty much hunt that food plot or the other one. And not really paying attention to the wind, any of that kind of stuff. There's either food plot 1 or food plot 2. One of those shooting houses is getting hunted. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, kind of just relating it to pressure. I'm like, man, if you're hitting that, you know, as much as you can, and you're hunting one of those two spots over and over and over again, that buck knows.
Yeah,
that
they
deer,
figure you out.
and this is pretty recent, so it's same kind of deal. It was like a late season post rut buck. They ain't gonna tolerate no pressure, man.
So, quick story on this, and it's kind of throwing my dad under the bus.
We do that a lot.
Yeah. So, he just got into a camp, or a little lease. It's like him and 2 or 3 other guys. Mm-hmm. And he just got in there the first part of January. The first 2 or 3 times he hunted it, he called me all fired up. He's seeing 20 and 30 deer in these patches. And I kid you not a week later, after him hunting every day and exploring the place on his 4-wheeler and doing this and that and the other, he's like, man, all my deer gone. I only saw 2 today. I only saw 2. I only saw 3. Well, why do you think that happened? You know, it's from putting pressure on it. And they're not dummies. They survive, and, you know, there's something's hunting them all the time.
And I really, like, I wouldn't even say that as like throwing your dad under the bus, because there's a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
And truly, I mean, I did stuff like that before. It took Cottonmouth and how
you have to see it in action.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It took us being at Cottonmouth and just seeing pretty much eliminating morning hunting except for the rut. Watching what that did to the deer movement, that made me have a much better grasp of how much human pressure. And that's the other thing too. People think hunting pressure. Like, no, if you're in the woods, that's pressure.
Yeah, actually hunting a deer, as long as you're doing it under the right wind conditions, is not that high pressure. It's the going and doing and checking and running, scouting, all that.
Like what you're saying your dad was doing.
Yeah.
So
that puts way more pressure on a place than it actually hunting it does, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's like I said, and I bring this up because there are, I mean, just going off of what I see in the Primos direct messages and my direct messages, there's some folks they may still be chasing their first deer for this season. You know, they hadn't got to hunt that much, and so they're not even thinking about turkeys yet, like you or me or some of these folks may be doing. They're still thinking full-blown deer because season's still in. And like I really do think these late season deer like this, I think that's when you have the least amount of pressure tolerance.
Oh yeah, if you put a little go juice on them, they're gonna be nocturnal like you flipping a switch.
Yeah.
And you know, one thing that you can implement, you know, for the future to make that better is, you know, pay attention to when you go in a place, for one. And the cell cameras now, if you're running cameras, it is worth the money investing in that just to stay out of the woods because it's gonna make your place better.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, if you run feeders, any of that, you know, get these timer feeders, spin cast, whatever that you can set them, and you walk away from them for 3 weeks.
Because that's the case too. I know, especially folks that hunt over feed, and I know that can kind of be a controversial topic. Whatever. If you're hunting in a state where feeding's legal, I don't care, you know, like that's you're hunting legally, it's fine. So in that respect, I know some folks that, you know, they kind of they'll make a mistake when it comes to feeding. You know, they think they're feeding, so they're not hurting anything, but they're riding around on, you know, like gas engine side by sides, running all over the woods, dumping out, you know, putting out feeders or filling feeders, or in some states like Arkansas, Louisiana, they ain't even had, because in Mississippi, the baiting laws is it has to be in a spin cast feeder in a covered trough.
Yeah.
But like if they're in a place like Louisiana or Arkansas where it can just be poured on the ground, you know, they're riding all over the woods, dumping it wherever, walking into spots. You can be causing harm doing that too.
Ain't no doubt.
Deer still eat it, but they're going to eat it at night when you can't hunt.
Mm-hmm.
So I told, me and Troy were talking about yesterday when we were hunting, not seeing anything. I was like, I've got this figured out. We're going to have to reverse our sleeping schedules, and we're going to start sitting in our stands at night. And eventually, what will happen is we're not going to hunt it. We're not going to hunt at night. We're not doing that. If we see a hog, we might. But if we sit in the stands at nighttime, they will realize that the boogeyman is out at night, and they'll start moving in the day. That plan is seamless, and it will work.
This is, I mean, Kudzu's just a work in progress. Everybody that's following along is going to, you know, hopefully 3 years from now, look at it and be like, "Dadgum, them guys are killing deer." You know, that's our goal.
Yeah.
But you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And we started from scratch. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's like I've had buddies that do, you know, kind of the recreational land management deal, and they get into a camp with guys for the first time, and one of the things they always say is one of their biggest struggles is getting folks that haven't had anything to do with that before to realize that this ain't like all right, we can fix all this in one season kind of thing. Like it takes a year, 2 years, 3 years, you know.
Like the zoo, you know, everybody's heard us talk about the zoo. It's a prime example of what, you know, just 2 or 3 years can do if you put in the right steps.
Yep.
And like last year, me and you hunted out there. This time of year, we hunted late January and didn't hardly see a deer for like 3 days out there.
No, yeah, we saw a few, but it wasn't very many, yeah.
It wasn't. I mean, we saw I think, we hunted around New Year's and saw a good many, then we went back later in the season after we got flooded out for like a weekend.
That's right, yeah, and didn't see much.
We didn't hardly see anything. Well, the place has got good cover on it. We've implemented the cover out there, but we didn't have any sustainable food sources for late season.
Yeah.
And man, we went in there and did some big plots this year, and it is absolutely nuts what it's doing right now.
Yeah.
And that's just one small change from one season to another that made all the difference in the world.
Because our buddy Logan Cook shot one there this morning.
Yeah, he killed a really good buck, and I shot a really nice one yesterday, and it's crazy the difference. And that's what gets me so fired up, because I love the whole management side of stuff, and just doing that couple small processes made all the difference in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're having problems from year to year, let's step back and evaluate it and see what you can do different.
So like try things. It is crazy. I mean, it is wild to think about. I mean, because it's like, if you've never done that before, you may just think, well, that's just how that place is. The bucks don't really do that. They really just kind of move more at night.
Yeah, man, it can be changed, and it can be changed in a hurry. We saw that with Cottonmouth. One season ago, when like no hunting in the morning, early season made our season 10 times better.
Because you're right. There are some things you can do that you will see changes immediately, because that happened. I remember it was the year that I killed
2017.
Troy, and I killed those bucks on the same afternoon. And Troy shot that buck at like 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, we implemented. That was the first year we really went hardcore doing the takeout seed.
Yeah.
And we implemented low pressure. Early season, of course, during the rut and stuff, we hunted mornings.
Right.
But majority of it was running trail cameras, smart. Going in middle of the day with the right wind on a patch and pulling them cards and having the food there. We knew we had cover. We knew we had the deer, and it all worked out.
Yeah. And then when you have a 5-year-old deer walking out into a food plot comfortably at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
And it wasn't just one. I mean, we started, having
that
multiple.
started to happen consistently. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I realized saying to completely eliminate your pressure is not a viable option for a lot of people, but there are things you can do.
Yeah. If the wind's bad at your best spot, just don't even. I would take a mediocre spot with a good wind over a great spot with a bad wind.
Yeah.
Because you're doing nothing but harming it for that day. You do have that good wind for that spot.
Yeah. And I don't know how many times we've said that on this podcast, but
that's key.
It can't be said enough.
I was explaining it to my dad the other day. He's starting to understand the wind.
Yeah.
Starting to understand how to hunt the wind. And I was telling him, you hunt it once or twice on a bad wind, those deer are done for a little bit. That mature buck is anyway. And
he'll go, yeah.
He's gonna most of the deer, I'm talking about Mississippi, these deer don't go a season without smelling a human. They know that's the boogeyman when they smell him.
Yeah.
And them old bucks, you think he's 5-6-year-old buck, 4-year-old, he's been smelling that for 4 years. He knows what that means. It means somebody's after him.
Yeah. It really is, and again, it's just one of those things, because I didn't hunt the wind when I was younger. That ain't how I was raised hunting.
I didn't either.
I was raised, you go shoot, you go, what shooting house you want to hunt in? That one? All right, go.
Yeah.
Everybody
had their own little favorite shooting houses or whatever, and you just went there.
And I think the times that I messed around and killed a deer were the times that it happened to be the right wind, but I had no clue it was.
Yeah.
I just, like, what is it we said a few years ago? Eventually, you dumb yourself into one, know?
I remember when I was younger, like on these really cold days when fronts are coming through and the wind's blowing like 15 or 20 mile an hour, I would go to the spot where the wind's like behind the tree hitting me. So it
wouldn't hit you in the face?
So it wouldn't be hitting me in the face.
Why would you be silly and let the wind hit you in the face?
It's
then
cold.
You'll just be uncomfortable. Trying to hunt in comfort, baby.
But yeah, you go to the shooting house that the wind's hitting you in the back of it where ain't no windows,
And I remember I was hunting. I had just gotten old enough to hunt by myself. And I was hunting in a ladder stand looking over these young pines. I'm talking like young. I mean, you could just see the pines coming up, but it hadn't gotten thick. It hadn't gotten thick yet, And I'm seeing these seeing this doe walk through, and I remember she was probably about 70, 80 yards away, and I was going to shoot her. And at the time, I didn't know this. She walked right into my wind stream, and she was walking, and she hit that thing. She turned inside out, and I was like, "What in the world?" And I was like, I couldn't figure out what happened. And it wasn't until a few years later I started learning about the wind, and it's like for some reason I thought about that hunt, and I was like, that's why that deer did that. She smelled me, and she smelled everything I had, like my snacks in my backpack, all that stuff.
Well, Jimmy and I were hunting yesterday on a cutover on Kudzu East, and we're looking at these does out in the cutover, and they were working their way up to us. And the wind was not what they said it was going to be.
Yeah.
But you're hunting a cutover. We don't know exactly where. You just kind of got to pick and choose, know, where the wind's going to blow. And I was watching her. It was pretty neat to see. And she hit our wind stream. All of them did. It was like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
And like they were in that cutover, so they felt comfortable, but you could tell they were smelling us.
Yeah.
They never blew, never stomped, just turned around and walked back where they came from. So you just think about how many times that happens.
How often does that happen? You don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was fully expecting her to just go nuts.
Just turn inside out.
Yeah. So.
I wonder if they're more apt to do that, like if they were in a open hardwoods or a food plot or something, you know.
I don't know. Watching her yesterday, it made sense because she was like, all you could see was her head. Like she's very comfortable in there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder if because she was in dense cover, if she just was more like, okay, let's just ease back.
And they eased back where they came from and hung out for another 10 minutes, 15 minutes. They didn't blow out of the country. I know for a fact, like she got 2 nostrils full.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about this too. You're hunting ground, like you said, it's not quite as big. I imagine a lot of them deer, like smelling a human or smelling something they don't want to smell, that's a daily occurrence.
Oh, yeah.
So they just learn to deal with it.
Yeah, 100%, I think. And they just learn how to avoid it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm surprised Jimmy didn't want to shoot one of them. Were we waiting on buck deer?
He hadn't seen them at that point.
I
was just watching them.
You put something on your Instagram the other day that Jimmy spooked a deer out of a blind from 100 yards away.
Yes, he did. So
how did he do that? This is a real question. It's not a rhetorical one. I really want to know how he managed to do that.
So this doe and yearling came out. They were coming down the hill at 3:45 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'm seeing deer at 3:45. This rarely occurs over here. And they get out there in the food plot, and Jimmy finally sees them. He's like, deer. I was like, yeah, I know. But anyway, he blows his nose.
Of course he does.
For one, when the deer are out in the food plot.
Did he pull out his little green bandana?
His green bandana. And the doe looks up, starts staring at the blind.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, he loves to sit right next to the window.
Yeah, like up in the window.
Yeah.
Like his nose is sticking out of the window a little bit.
For whatever, he likes to stick his gun out the window when he shoots. I mean, whatever. But, and the doe's looking at us, just knows something's there because she just heard an elephant up in there. Yeah. And Jimmy, Blake knows what I'm talking about, but we may have to put a video clip or something. Jimmy's always moving his head.
Yeah, he bobs his head.
He's just always just moving. I'm like, Jimmy, be still. She's looking at us. She can't see us up in here. Like, she can see in the window. You got to be still for a second. Huh? All right, there she goes.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened.
So he got picked off moving his head around and talking?
Well, it started by blowing his nose.
Right. And
I think he just forgot, like, I'm finna make noise.
Yeah.
And blew his nose and realized the deer can hear. And then, she's on full awareness that something's over there, like staring at the blind. And then when you move your head, she sees movement. She's out.
She gone.
I mean, you could be in a fully encased, like, box, whatever, with a little slit, 2 inches wide looking out of it.
Yeah.
And if you're moving while they're looking in the window, they're going to see you.
Here's my favorite thing, or one of my favorite things about stories like these, is somebody that knows Jimmy is going to hear it. It's going to be a delayed reaction, though. So, like, now, like, someday next week, he's going to come up the stairs. Hey, did y'all tell a story about me spooking that doe on that podcast? Yeah, sure did.
And the funniest part is when she took out, like, just tearing down the woods, getting out of there, is he looked at me and told me the wind swirled.
There's there's so many clips like this we need to put out there. This was the first year that I had a rifle elk tag, but Jimmy was hunting first.
Yeah.
And this big bull, like, that we didn't know if he was coming or not. But I remember you were filming Jimmy, and I was backed up calling.
Oh, he was coming.
And well, yeah, we know Jimmy was turned around talking to you, like he's like Jimmy. I mean, like he's standing straight up, turned around, direct, not kind of facing your way, like dead facing your way.
Yeah,
talking.
And I'm like, Jimmy, the elk's coming.
Yeah,
because I could see him because I'm 6'8" inches taller.
Yeah,
and he's like, I don't see him.
Yeah, and he's waving his arms around, and then talking, and then the bull pops up, sees him, and runs off. And Jimmy goes, "Wind must have swirled." And then he hits his wind puffer, and the wind dust literally hits him in the chest because the wind's in our face.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. It's a little. That's how to answer. Long form answer to that question to how you keep from getting completely burnt out. You find ways to stay amused. That's what you do. So the
last 3 or 4 times I've hunted with him, it's like, are you gonna spook him all day, or are we gonna actually try to kill one?
I'm sure you get a look.
I get a little bit more in the look.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
I ain't spook no deer.
That's what Jordan is absolutely right. This time of year, we roast each other a little bit harder than normal.
He tried to tell me yesterday he'd never spooked a deer in his life.
What?
That's what he told me. He said, I've never spooked a deer in my life.
Does he live a second life somewhere that I don't know about?
That's what he said. I was like, you want some video? Do you forget we video these hunts?
I couldn't say that either. If I tried to stand flat-footed and say I never spooked a deer before,
I spook them all the time.
I'd be bad lying. But so yeah, that's how we survive this time of year. If we sounded tired in this podcast, it's because we are. But you know what? It's all right. We still got the rest of this week and next week at deer season at Kudzu Bluff. Then deer season will end, and then there's really there's no in between. When deer season ends, we'll start thinking about turkeys and figuring out what we're going to do with that.
Hopefully get some weather to burn some woods.
Yeah. And if you're wanting Turkey Podcast, hang in there because they're coming. Just not quite yet. Not quite yet.
I got me a heck of a schedule already planned out.
Good. I don't. Thank y'all for listening to this episode. Catch y'all back next week.